Yo, what's up guys? Your boy Nightstorm here. Welcome back to Wuthering Waves. So, I went back to my calculations and made some adjustments, right? And this will be a video comparing the new regen set to the fusion set. Now, this is a bit of a niche video, which I'll explain in a moment. But first, one thing to note, we are not going to be looking at the theatrical moment attack boost passive in this video because we're going to be focusing on his ultimate where the forte buff is replaced with my moment where it's a larger attack bonus based on energy regen. So all calculations following in this video will be using the my moment passive right there, as you can see, 20 points of attack up to 2600. Now that is out of the way, let's actually go into the calculation. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to show you my build that I'm planning on Brandt. I think this will be the best way to show it. So if we go here, I'll be using Havoc Robot as the example. We're going to be taking a look at Brandt build 2 for this video because the Inferno Rider basic version actually suits him more, and I think my build on this is better overall, I believe, compared to this one, but we'll just use this one for now. So as you can see, these are the overall stats. I'm not sure what Brandt's Ascension actually we can find. Actually, Brandt's Ascension is crit rate. I forgot to show you in the video, but Brandt's Ascension is crit rate, and that totals up to, I believe, 8%. Yep, 8% as you can see, 1.2, 2.8, 2.8, 1.2. So in that case, Brandt's crit rate will actually be 83.6% with 220% crit damage, which I would say pretty decent. Very reliable crit rate at the very least. I'm not sure about the attack value. Let's see, 999, 375, 587. So Brandt's attack will probably be around 2.1k flat at the lowest, 2.1k flat, ignoring the forte attack buff. Energy regen, as you can see, pretty healthy, 236.4 with an R2 Emerald of Genesis, which I'd say is very good. And then in terms of damage bonus, we do have a 10.9% basic attack. There's a lot on skill damage, which is kind of unfortunate, and then 8.6 on heavy, which is also pretty unfortunate. And then we are, of course, using Fusion set. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this set right now is because I basically took zero effort building this Echo set. Because, for example, these 3 Echoes I've obtained whilst farming for Changli, right? So there's no reason for me not to use these. And then for these 2, these are just random echoes that I just put together, which I would just say is good enough, as in there's no need for further investment. And so that's it. So basically this took, if you consider the fact that I've been farming for Changli echoes, the amount of effort I put into making this set is actually close to zero. If I were to have, moved away from Fusion set and started farming Tidebreaking Courage, well, I mean, it is, again, as I mentioned, a unique niche case for me because I'm still trying to improve my Changli build, as you can see right here. I'm still trying to get a little bit more crit rate, or a lot more crit rate. But I am using crit damage main stat. Also trying to get a bit more energy regen as well on the side. So as you can see, I'm basically trying to min-max my Changli because I want to. And so because of that, I decided to settle with Fusion set. And don't sleep on Fusion set, to be honest, because the set bonus is 10% fusion damage. And then the 5-piece gives you another 30% on top of that for 15 seconds after casting Resonance skill. And with Brandt, who has a 4-second cooldown on his E, I would say this is going to be it's going to be infinite uptime, right? It's going to be 100% uptime on Brandt. And there you go. If you want the full stats of it, this is it. And then if you're curious about the Brant build number 1, there it is. So you can see we have slightly more regen on Brant build 2. Now that that's out of the way, we are now going to be taking a look at calculations. This is the main bread and butter of this video. So I've made changes. It should be easier to read now as well. There you go. So as you can see here, this is the regen set portion of the calculations. I'm taking into account the 10% ER bonus, as well as the 15% attack bonus from the 5-piece set, and an extra note here for another 30% damage bonus, well, general element damage bonus after you hit 250 or more ER. And for the basis of this video, I'm going to be using 5 echo rolls of 5 mid-roll echoes, like 5 mid-roll echo rolls of regen. So that is 9.2% regen on every single echo you have. So on all 5 pieces. That totals to 46% energy regen. And then we do 2 3-cost energy regen echoes. So that's another 64 plus a 10 from the bonus, minus 50 because we have 100% base regen. But the passive starts at 150%, so you have to do minus 50. And that totals a 70% bonus, right? So 70, well, it has to be 1%, like 1% flat above 150%. So even if it was like 70.5, right, it will still be 70%, if that makes sense. It will still be 70 stacks. But in any case, signature weapon with this build overcaps with 17% energy regen. So you can still afford to do ER and element and fusion damage on Tidebreaking Courage set when using Brant signature weapon. And you'll only be 13% ER away from max. So again, still worth doing that. Now, unfortunately, with this amount of ER rolls, you can see that the R5, R2, and R1 for Emerald of Genesis, they are all below 250%. So all of them are missing out on 30% damage bonus. Keep this in mind. This is going to be very important to know. And then Overture obviously passes this very easily with a very healthy 271.8, making us only 8.2% away from max. And then as you can see from the total attack, the percentage difference with Overture as the baseline, signature weapon is only 7% above in terms of attack buff only. And then in terms of Emerald of Genesis, they are all low. So 3% less, 10% less, and then 12% less. Keep in mind that Overture doesn't really provide anything else, but they do have Concerto regen, so that'll make his rotations faster, but I'm not sure if you need that. Meanwhile, signature weapon has 8% crit and 48% basic, and then we have the extra crit stats from Emerald of Genesis R1 plus the attack after using E, which I make them do once here. So if I do it twice, obviously the gap will lessen, but it's going to be a low chance that we'll be using the E twice. But if we do, then that will change things a little bit. So if you do 2 stacks, as you can see, Emerald of Genesis R5 is going to be considerably closer. R2 is 2% closer, and R1 is 2% closer as well. Now, moving on to Fusion set. So this time, I am basing it around my current gear, right? Which I only think is fair because of the fact that we are using a gear that I didn't really, make an effort of getting for Brant specifically, right? Obviously, I was farming for Changli, but this is going to be like a collateral in a sense. I just happen to have spare fusion echoes that I can put on someone else, and now that time has come and it will be put on Brant. So as you can see, my total echo rolls totals to 56.4, which I'd say is on the higher end, right? We're at 10% more. Now this total is 70.4, right? So this should be just 70. So I'm not sure how this will affect the actual total here, but Just in case, I'll put just 70 here, just so it's exactly the same. Now for R1, this will have to be, you know, slightly increased, but I'll increase it a little bit, and I'll increase a little bit for R5, but we're going to compare 70.4 for now, and then we'll take a look at R2 last, because that's the weapon I have currently. So as you can see, if we take a look at the regen percent, it doesn't really matter with this set because there's no requirement. But these are the values if you're interested, and the signature is overcapped by 17.4%. Now, if we take a look at the attack here, 3738. Meanwhile, signature up in here is 3856.2. So we are about 120 attack off. So, you know, 3% difference between the two. And I'm using the Overture regen set value as the baseline. So these are all interconnected with each other. So as you can see, Overture with the fusion set that I have is 3% behind the Overture in the regen set with 5 mid-rolls for regen. Emerald Genesis R5 is 93%, so 7% behind that. My R2 is 86% compared to the 90% if I had Tidebreaker Courage. And then R1 is 84% compared to the 88% with Tidebreaking Courage. So now the main focus is the R2, right? So because that's my current weapon. So in this case, in this scenario, I have 3248.45 with the regen set. Meanwhile, with the fusion set, I'm at 3112.15. So I am 136, give or take, 136 attack away, right? Off, 136 attack off. But keep in mind, R1, R2, and R5 are missing the 30% damage bonus at 250%. Meanwhile, even though I have 130 less attack, my fusion set gives me 10% fusion damage as a baseline, plus 30% more fusion damage for 15 seconds after using a skill. So this is this number of attack with an extra 40% fusion damage bonus. So whilst my buff is lower, in practice it will actually be better. And then that's pretty much about it, really. I would say that obviously you're gonna argue that if we had the same regen rolls, that the Tidebreaking Courage set would be better, and I 100% agree. The main point of this video, as my upcoming summary, is that if you have Changli, right? This is the summary right here. If you have Changli, you've probably farmed a crap ton of fusion echoes, right? If you're a Changli enjoyer, a Changli main, as I said, it's a niche video, you're gonna have some pretty OP echoes prepared just in case, right? And that just in case has arrived with Brant. And so I would seem that as fair to compare to, you know, if I were to quickly farm a Tidebreaking Courage set and get some medium, you know, some medium rolls on Brant, get that 46 ER, get a substantially higher attack bonus, right? Then obviously I would see that as a waste of energy, waste of stamina. Keep in mind that my Brant echoes are pretty OP, technically speaking. So for example, this Inferno Rider right here, this Violet Feathered Heron. Okay, this is my worst one. Then we've got this one as well. Then we've got this one. So technically speaking, I am missing a lot of crit rate, but because of how I built the set, the amount of crit rate I have is fine. Now, arguably, I can go crit damage instead, but I kind of don't want to do that. I don't think I need to do that much. I think it's better to have more consistent crit rate, so I just chose this one instead. But yeah, that is my explanation really. So I'm going to be using Fusion Set. I did not waste a single run farming Tidebreaking Courage. Now, technically speaking, right? Technically speaking, look at my one costs. I have Tidebreaking Courage stuff, right? I even have let's see if I could filter this out to Fusion, the energy regen. I do have some energy regens. Well, only 3. But yeah, it's gonna be a drag, right? And then I do have this one right here, just in case I felt like building Brent. Just for my first clear, I got this thing. But it's gonna be a lot of effort, a lot of stamina, a lot of time, unless I'm lucky trying to get that upgrade. So I'm just better off, honestly, just using Fusion Set on Brent. Now, the one thing that I find unfortunate is that Tidebreaking Courage is much better, right? You get 12% fusion damage and 12% basic attack damage right away, right? Meanwhile, basic Inferno Rider, I need to do the final hit of the Echo to get the fusion damage and basic attack damage. So if by any chance this is gonna not be a good experience for me, I'll just use let's see, either this one or this one or this one. I'll either use one of these two so I can get the at least guaranteed 12% fusion damage without any requirements. But yeah, that's pretty much about it for this video. Overall, this is my statistics. In practice, I feel like my Fusion Set isn't going to be that bad compared to Tidebreaking Courage. Obviously, if I were to spend the same amount of effort farming Tidebreaking Courage to get the upgrade for Brant, it's obviously going to perform better. But I'm not planning on doing that because I'm still trying to upgrade my Changli, hence the niche video. But yeah, these are my findings. I'm going to be using Fusion Set. And for those Changli enjoyers as well looking to continuously upgrade their Changli, I also personally recommend Fusion Damage. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you have any questions, do let me know as well. It's been your boy Nitrostorm. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video. Peace.